Hey everyone, I'm really excited to introduce modules and walk you through what they look like. As a reminder, modules let you reuse groups of components and queries between retool applications. What this means is you can write a module once and you can import the module into any number of retool apps. And when you edit this module, all the changes will automatically propagate into all of your retool apps. Let's walk you through how you might create a module. So you can go to the home page, click on Create a Module, give it a name, and you'll notice that the module looks very similar to a retool application. So you can drag on components and you can write queries just like you can in a retool app. The core difference is that modules can take inputs that you can then use inside the module. For example, we're adding an input here to this module, input 1. It has no value right now, so when you reference it, you'll actually not see any data. But what you can do is you can sort of test the module by giving it, let's say, a dummy input, and you should see that reflected. You can also create inputs of type query, and we'll get to what that means in a bit. I've skipped a few steps and created a slightly more complex module. Let's see what this looks like. So this is a module to just display some user information. So if you look at the query, select star from users where customer ID is 26. So this is hard-coded, and this module also has the ability to edit the user details via a similar, also pretty simple query. The customer ID is hard-coded. To make this module more general, what we can do is we can create an input to pass in the customer ID from the parent app where we use the module. So let's create an input, customer ID, and we'll set the default value to, let's say, 1. And in the queries, we can use the customer ID. And let's update both queries here. And you'll see that the module is not using customer ID 1, and we can test this worked by passing in some other customer ID, and you'll see the value change. What we can do now is we can now add this module to a retool app. You can go to any retool application, go to Insert, go to Modules, and find the module here and drag it onto the page. So what you'll notice is that the input that we defined in this module, customer ID, is now available on the right. So you can pass in some value here. You can also reference other parts of the retool app, like let's say I want to reference table1.selectedrow.data.customer ID. Now you'll see this module update when I click on a row in the table. So this is a pretty simple use case. One thing we can do with the module is let's say we edit the user. Let's say I want to edit Tess Davis to have a different last name, and I'll submit it. And you'll notice that the data updated in this module, but this parent app is referencing the data from the SQL query here, which does not update. Normally in retool, you might add a query here on success trigger to have this query update. What we can do in modules instead is we can add an input and call it onSubmit. We'll use the query data type, and we'll say, hey, once we update the customer, run onSubmit. Oh, there's a typo here. And this acts sort of like a callback in React. So you can refresh the page, and you'll see the query on the right. You'll say, when this module is edited, run the getUsers query. So now when I update some module value, I'll say, you'll see this table value update as well. This is a really quick slice of what you can do with modules. Other things you can do is you can have outputs for modules. So let's say, output 1, I'm outputting the data from the form, and you'll be able to reference this in a parent app like so. User editor 1, you'll see the output. You can also refactor applications to convert them into modules. So you can clean up your applications pretty quickly. Yeah, that's a quick intro to modules.